Right. Well, I think we can assume we'll see a lot of images of Ghislaine Maxwell. She is not being redacted. DOJ says that there are images of her. What would be interesting to see is what videos or still photos there are where there are redacted victims, for example, faces, but are there images of people who are not victims who are in those photographs? And what does that mean for the big Epstein picture here? And are these people who are familiar to us? Are there people who were in the last drop of documents and photographs? Right. Well, we will see soon enough if the people think that DOJ is falling short on what they're releasing. Are people comparing things that they already know to see what's in the DOJ files? Remember also what's happened recently. You had claims by Ghislaine Maxwell and her attorneys that there were more than 24 people who entered into deals to avoid prosecution. Whether or not that's accurate, that remains to be seen. But that's a claim that's out there, and that certainly takes us to a different level. If she is telling the truth, if her people are telling the truth, does that match up to what we see in these DOJ files? And is that a whole new avenue to go down? The Bannon connection is fascinating because it shows that Epstein's reach was phenomenal. I mean, whether it was people like Woody Allen or Bill Clinton, Steve Bannon, Donald Trump, Epstein was at the center of a lot of circles, a lot of concentric circles, and that was the American elite of politics, finance, entertainment, society, and it just shows that he had something that people wanted. And the question is, was it simply access to the women victims? Was there something else, or was it limited to things like sex and money? Everyone else who apparently was touched by Epstein's life has crashed and burned in one way or another. The question is President Trump the one person who can survive that? And it is a fascinating question because there's nothing positive out there, no matter what's in these files. There's no positive point or reaction to being associated with Jeffrey Epstein, and most people run from it like a vampire when the sun comes up. But you have President Trump, who seems to survive his connection to Epstein. There's the old expression, whistling past the graveyard, and a lot of America's rich and powerful elite are doing that with this latest release. They are hoping that there's nothing in there that connects them to Epstein if they had a connection to him. So that's what we've got. That's what remains to be seen in this latest dump of 3 million plus documents. Who is in there that we don't know about? What are the connections, and who is connecting the dots to things that we're not even aware of yet? Right. Well, the Epstein law as written did not contain any enforcement teeth, so that's why DOJ essentially can get away with not releasing everything by the December 19th deadline, and they can hand the documents and materials out piecemeal in a way. So there's no way to enforce that law. On the other hand, there was that talk of impeachment of Bondi and Blanche and other people who were responsible for, in the eyes of some in Congress, for the delay. But at the end of the day, I think the only way that anyone can be held accountable now is if there is something that indicates there has been some type of concerted or a conspiracy or whatever you want to call it to protect people. Deputy Attorney General Blanche, there was nothing in the files that implicated anything illegal involving President Trump, and he says that's what the last document dump shows. Of course, people are going to be checking that to see if it's accurate, but at the end of the day, there's really nothing other than impeachment or scrutiny by Congress that would come back to haunt Bondi or anybody else connected with this, unless we see some type of real serious effort to either sanitize files or protect people.